Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar that's focused on finding and winning federal contracts. We'll give it a minute for everybody to join. Hey, everybody. We're just letting everybody join for like a minute or two before we get started. Okay. I know that folks will also be streaming in, so but we'll get started because we want to be mindful of your time. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar that's focused on finding and winning federal contracts. This webinar is under the Business Growth and Acceleration Program, BizGap, for Florida's 27th Congressional District. My name is Brian Van Hook, and I'm the Regional Director of the Florida SBDC and FIU. So just thank you again for joining us for this webinar. We're going to get you some really good information and teach you how to research and how to identify contracts and also how to connect with folks that can help you with those contracts. So a little bit about me. Who is this guy talking to you? What do I know about federal contracts? As I mentioned, I'm the regional director of Florida SBDC at FIU. Originally, I'm from Louisiana. I've been in Miami for over 10 years. And I have 20 years of experience, time served with the federal government, both as an employee with the Congress and also with the Department of Commerce, and also as a federal resource partner here with Florida SBDC at FIU. Um, for my 10 years that I worked in Washington, D.C., I worked in the United States Senate on economic development, contracting, international trade, telecom issues. Also worked at the Department of Commerce in the Office of Technology Policy. So worked on in helping individual businesses with disaster preparedness, technology, telecom, cybersecurity. All those areas are really high areas of interest for government contracting. Also, as it, worked on like legislation and policies and things like that. And then I just want to shout out my team that we're here in 2024. We're really proud to be the last year's National SBDC of the Year. So out of 1,100 small business development centers, for that one year, we were the top SBDC. So just want to really shout out our team that we have a really great team that works here in Miami-Dade and also the Florida Keys. And then before we get in the presentation, I do want to just mention real quick what BizGap is. BizGap is the Business Growth and Acceleration Program. It's an initiative that our center has run since 2016. BizGap is focused on hyperlocal consulting, really in your neighborhood, in your commercial corridor, in your community, focused on consulting, training, and outreach. Really, we want to meet you where you are in the community. That's why we're doing this webinar today, because we know that some folks it is easy for them to connect to a webinar that's 30, 45 minutes and get some really good information. And then maybe there's some information they can follow up on. And then additionally, the BizGap project is a way to give another tool in the toolkit for local municipalities. Whether it's a county, whether it's a business improvement district, a community redevelopment agency, a city, they don't always have the resources for business consultants. They don't have a lot of resources a lot of times for economic development. So this is a way for them to better assist their businesses that are looking to start up or to grow. And then these are just some numbers under BizGap that we've done previously. These were kind of really like small different projects that we had done. But we're really proud of the numbers we've done so far. And pretty much for the BizGap project we're working, we're going to double a lot of these numbers. So we're happy to report to you when we finish the project. But the BizGap project currently that we're focused on is in Florida's 27th Congressional District. It is funded by a grant from the U.S. Small Business Administration. And the particular project in District 27 is going to focus on training, outreach, and door-to-door canvassing. Also, we're focused on one-on-one business consulting and then conducting data mapping and surveys of local businesses in District 27. Our goal is for the team to assist, that's consulting and training, over 1,000 small businesses in the district from January of this year through December. And that's basically business consulting and training, like I said. If you're not in District 27, don't worry, we're not going to kick you out of the webinar. We're not going to kick you out of the program. We also are assisting businesses in Miami-Dade County, but we are kind of tracking our information in District 27 and also as Miami-Dade County as a whole. So the goal of the project is to assist 1,000 businesses in District 27, but we will help you also if you're located in Miami-Dade County. And then just shout out to our BizGap team of consultants. We have 7 highly specialized consultants that are focused on BizGap and kind of helping businesses in District 27. And then would just say shout out to our SBDC team. We have an additional 20 consultants, both in Miami-Dade County and also the Florida Keys. So we'd just say shout out to those consultants as well. And then I would say we are also very collaborative under BizGap. So if we can help you with our consulting team or our trainings, we're definitely happy to help you. If we can connect you to other resources, whether that's loans, grants, consulting, resources, information, training, we're happy to connect you to other organizations. Definitely under BizGap, we're also conducting info sessions that are 30 minutes with community groups and partners so that they can share more information on what they're doing. So now that I got through kind of the background and the quick the stuff that Jesus requires me to discuss, I will kind of give you the learning objectives. We're focused on basically anybody who wants to grow their business through federal government contracts. I'm going to review quickly the 6-step gateway. That's kind of like the tried and true method for successful contracting. I'm going to give you some actual real life examples of finding and securing federal contracting opportunities. I'm going to give you some tips, which is very important on business development and networking. And then I'm going to give you some additional resources that you can use to secure those contracts. So a big believer, work smarter, not harder. So at the end of the day, we're really focused on giving you the tools and the resources and the information so that you can basically, kind of work more efficiently in terms of researching these contracts. So the 6-step gateway, like I mentioned, it's kind of like a tried and true path for you to pursue government contracts. It is focused on evaluating whether it's the right time for you to get into government contracting. Coming up with a really good plan for entering the government marketplace. It is a little different from business to business. You need to complete the relevant registrations, whether that's sam.gov, Demand Star, like those type of things if it's local contracts. Preparing like the marketing materials and also getting the relevant certifications and we'll get into those as well. You want to find the right opportunities, really select those and pursue those government opportunities. It might be where you have to pursue it for, 6 months, a year, 2 years, to kind of find the right time to jump on that opportunity. And then you really want to focus on achievement. You want to win those contracts, get the support, and then basically win more business for your particular business. So you want to basically like really succeed on these contracts so that you can get larger and more contracts. And we did structure the presentation based around the 6-step gateway, so that we really did structure it around that path to kind of give you some more details on how to do it. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is government contracting the right path for your business? We talk about that because business to government work can be expensive. There's a strong competition depending on what your product or service is. If you get into government contracting, you're going to be familiar with things like Net 30, Net 60, Net 90. That's when you do the work and you kind of fund it on your own. And then you basically complete the work and then you build the government and you have to wait sometimes 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But you need to be able to hire the staff. You need to be able to do the work and also kind of have the financial wherewithal and kind of cash flow to be able to float until you get paid by the government. So those are things you need to factor in. It's not like you're gonna get in and just get $1 million once you get the contract. You actually need to do the work and then kind of invoice the particular agency. So we will talk about some of these questions that you need to ask yourself. So some key questions are like what size of contract can you handle? How many proposals can you really handle? Like, just be honest with yourself. How many can you juggle? If you're applying for like 5 contracts, 10 contracts, what if you win all of them? What if you win none of them? Is your business going to be okay? How much growth are you willing to handle? Are you willing to hire 10 more people? Can you manage 10 more people? Can you get more equipment? Can you do more, provide more products if you're making products? You know, how much are you willing to scale up your business? We talked about like employees, um, also like products and services and how much you can create and deliver. So, you know, we have a smiley face. If you win the contract, you know, what are you going to do when you win it? Congratulations. If you lose it, is it going to completely ruin your business? So you need to be aware. You know, like they have that song, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them and when to walk away. So you got to be prepared to walk away, even if you're like right up to the application date. You can't stake everything on that particular contract. So, like I said, you need to be able to walk away, even if it's the proposal due date. Also have like an overall strategy for your business and what is winning this contract? What does that build for your particular business? And then when you're looking at these particular certifications, some things you need to focus and particular contract opportunities, some things you need to also look at is like, what's your sweet spot? Like, what is your past performance? Like, what have you done with the private sector? What is your experience in that industry? Do you have a geographical focus area? Are you like in Miami? Are you focused on Miami? Are you focused on Central Florida? Are you focused on Arizona? You know, where are you looking for particular contracts? Do you have a socioeconomic status like minority business, women-owned business, veteran-owned business? Are there things that you can kind of lead with? Obviously, we would assume you're a small business. And then also in terms of business development that we'll get to later, who do you know? Do you have connections? Do you have people you can talk to? Do you have people that are successful contractors that can give you some tips? Or maybe you can work as a subcontractor. So those are some things you want to factor in. And then I would encourage you guys, tell us in the chat who you are, like what's your industry. And then also, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A. I'm happy to answer those at the end. In terms of planning, I always do give the caveat. Most businesses that get into federal government contracting, you're not going to get a $20 million NASA contract or a $5 million DoD contract right out the gate. The businesses follow kind of this like well-worn path that's start small, start local, build up your past performance, take advantage if you can team. So if you have like another business that has some expertise or experience or an industry that you don't have, you can team up together and they can kind of like cover the gaps in your particular business, things that you don't do or that you're not as experienced in. Or you can subcontract with a larger firm that has to subcontract out some of the work. You can grow your capacity, which is when we talk about capacity, that's your HR, your operations, your financials, and you can work your way up to larger contracts. I would say, I always give that caveat. We do have a business, Ronald Jones, that had actually worked with our team under the Community Navigator project and had a lot of experience in the aerospace industry. Basically was able to leave his job in November, incorporate the business, registered with the SBDC and with the Navigator program in January when the program opened, and was able to get some Department of Defense, Defense Logistics Agency contracts by March. So I would say that's not completely out of the realm of possible, but he was able to do it. These were not like $100,000 contracts. These were like 25,000, 30,000. So they were smaller contracts, but you know what? You got to start somewhere. You got to start small. So he was able to get at least like 4 or 5 DLA contracts to start and really build up that past performance. And I know he's got a number of contracts since then. So that is an example to give you some hope. I don't want to just be negative and kind of like do it, but I do like to manage expectations because I have seen other presentations and workshops in the past where people would sell like if you get your certification or if you get registered in SAM, you're going to get a contract right out of the gate. Just like anything that's worthwhile in life, you do have to put the time in, you have to work hard. And sometimes you have to have a little bit of luck here and there. Very important is that you need to register with sam.gov. Sam.gov is the main system for award management. You do need to get on there to register for government contracting and to get into these because some of the information you will get is only available from sam.gov. So, and I would mention to you that the sam.gov website is new and improved. They used to have at least 4 or 5 other websites that would have places to search for contracts, different aspects of it. There is a lot of that contained now under sam.gov. So I would encourage you to, if you're exploring government contracting, to get on and go register on SAM. There are, I'll mention in the next slide, but there are companies that'll charge you for it. For most businesses, that's something you can handle on your own, either through doing it and following like the tips, or watching some webinar videos, kind of like we're giving you guys today. Or you can reach out to programs such as SBDC, BizGap, or the Apex Accelerator program. And I do see Luis Batista from the local Apex accelerators here as well. In terms of SAM.gov registration, it's basically a 2-step process. You want to get your unique entity ID, your UEI, and then you apply. Upon finishing the registration, the firm will be assigned a cage code, and that's going to be your official vendor number. So you want to get that UEI and also the cage code. And just remember that if you get a SAM registration, you have your cage code, that's not registering you as a vendor for state, county, or cities. There are separate registrations for those. At the state level, there's a separate one, My Florida Marketplace, and a couple other ones. For counties and cities, there are different types of registration portals that you can get on. Demand Star is one of the big ones. But just remember, like I said, that those registrations are free. There's no charges to maintain your registration. If somebody's trying to charge you to set it up, they're not the government. So a lot of times if you Google, it'll be like sponsored at the top and it'll be on there. So there are SBDC consultants, there's Apex consultants, there's other programs as well, like the MBDA Center, other organizations locally as well that can help you. So take advantage of these no-cost services to get registered. In terms of the federal government, there are multiple federal government programs to help small businesses win at least 23% of all federal contracting dollars each year. I did break down kind of like that 23%. You see it's 5% for women-owned, small and disadvantaged is 12%, 3% for service-disabled veterans, and 3% for HubZone. And then we will get into those particular certifications in a minute. But basically, they do have to meet that goal. Just like, there's particular goals and focuses for different programs. That is a focus for the federal government. And they do issue various reports on that and on how they're doing. So I did outline, and I would say for you guys, we will send you the PDF of this presentation after. So don't worry about it if you can't take, very detailed notes. I will send you the PDF of this. And also this will be available on the YouTube page afterwards as well. So you can watch it again, you can stop, you can watch it. So we will send you the PDF, and also Jesus will send you the link to our YouTube page as well. For small and disadvantaged businesses, that's something you can self-certify on SAM. Women-owned small businesses, you can apply on the Women-Owned Small Business website. For economically disadvantaged women-owned small business, you can also apply on that same website. For veteran-owned, there is a particular website called VetCert that you would do. For service-disabled veteran, again, that's a self-certify on SAM. For the 8A program, which is disadvantaged businesses, you can apply on the SBA Certify website for that one. And then lastly, there is the Hub Zone program, which is historically underutilized business zones, where the 8A program is based on your socioeconomic status. The Hub Zone is based on the census data and kind of divides it into like lower income areas. So they basically, one is more where your socioeconomic status is, and another one's like where your business is located or where the employees that you're employing are located. And for the Hub Zone program, your business needs to be located in a Hub Zone. Your employees, a certain percentage, need to be located in a Hub Zone, but they don't necessarily need to be located in that Hub Zone. You can be based in Miami in a Hub Zone, but you can have some employees in Alabama in a Hub Zone. So like I said, that's apply on the Hub Zone portal. I did include in this slide where you can check your eligibility. at the SBA website where they will list a lot of things. They used to be a little more detailed on that website, but they you can still check some of your eligibility on that certified website. So let's get into like targeting and how you can really narrow down some of those particular opportunities. So first, what you want to do is you want to start by reviewing opportunities by your industry. The acronym that we use a lot is the NACE code, North American Industry Commodity Service Code. Basically, your industry code, it could be multiple industry codes though. Because let's say, for example, you're in electrician. You can do electrician work, you can do, fixing gates, you can do fixing things. There could be multiple ones. There could be also different products and services that you sell, where you could sell medical supplies, you could sell, medical, other types of products and things like that, where you might be multiple industries. So the one thing I'll stress though is cover everything that you have experience in and that you're seasoned on and that you can deliver on, but don't be jack of all trades, master of none. So don't like basically throw out a bunch of industry codes on things that you might not be able to deliver or you wouldn't follow up on, because these contracting officers will catch that. So you do want to be very specific and kind of be aware of that, but just don't limit yourself by one industry code if there are multiple products or services that you sell. Next up is you want to basically like lean in again, like I said, with your unique niche or your advantage. So that could be you're a small business. There's small business set asides. Like we talked about socioeconomic status, you're a woman-owned small business, you're an 8A business, you're a veteran-owned business. Those are certifications that you can secure. So you want to look at those type of opportunities. But really, I would stress search for the types of certifications that you would qualify for sometimes before going through some of those certifications, because you really want to match the agency and what they're buying and who they're buying from with the certification that you're getting. So you don't want to just be one of those people that has like a business card that has like 50 certifications on it, but the agency you're going after actually doesn't buy for some of those certifications. You want to basically match what the agency is looking for with what certification you have. As we mentioned, your geographic area, so where you live or where your business is located, or if there's another area where you have contacts or experience, you can also include that as well. So you can actually search by those particular areas. Very important, what we talked about is like past performance. So what has your business done? It doesn't necessarily need to be limited to federal government experience or state government experience. It could be private sector experience too, but you really want to like put that together. And then also your personal past experience, like what have you done? What's your experience in your life? Kind of like when I did the presentation at the beginning, I talked to you guys about what I've done previously, like who am I to explain this information to you. One of the things I really stress is to look forward. So that would be like forecasts, or look back at past awards so that you can get smarter on what agencies have spent or what they're projected to spend. And the good thing is it's the federal government. So that information is like publicly available. So you can look it up. I will do a deep dive on that in a little bit. But things that you want to look for is like, what do they buy? Are they buying your product or service? How do they buy it? Is it in large amounts? Is it in small amounts? What type of contract vehicles do they put out? Do they have any set asides that are relevant to you and your business and your certifications or your small business status? And then also, like we talked about, you can look up for that particular agency. Are they hitting their small business goals? On the upside on that is if they are, that's really great because maybe you want to do business with them because you can help them to hit their goals the next year. If they're not, even better because maybe you can be like, hey, I can help you. An example is like here in South Florida, we have Miami-Dade. There's a number of federal and military installations in Key West and the Keys. There also is the Naval Air Station Key West, NAS Key West. A couple of years ago, pre-pandemic, they reached out to our center and said, "Hi, do you know any local 8A firms in Monroe County in the Florida Keys?" And sure enough, there was only one at the time. There's a couple more now, But there was one 8A that was located in Key West, and we were able to make the introduction between that local business and NAS Key West, and they were able to get a number of contracts with the Naval Air Station. So that's an opportunity for you to basically help those agencies to meet their small business goals by your expertise of your business. If you want to do some of that contracting research, you can go to USA Spending. That's a really good website. You can basically search under your industry codes. You can search by agency, and you can look at those awards and basically look at those because those are going to be your potential contracting partners. I do have some of the other websites up there as well. Like I mentioned, you can actually do some of that research on sam.gov if you want to. Acquisition.gov is a good portal to look at. Fed spending, and then we mentioned USA spending as well. And again, just to stress, what you want to do is look for those key agencies, look for particular contacts. Who is the contracting officer? Who is the person you need to know? Phone number, email address, title, those type of things. And then also you can research those agencies and you can look up, do they have any upcoming requests for proposal workshops? Do they have any vendor outreach events? An example is like the Navy Office of Small Business Programs. Last year, they reached out to our center and they wanted to do kind of like a vendor outreach event here in Miami. So we were able to coordinate with them last January and set up something at the Westchester Library, where I think we had maybe like 70 people that were there, Jesus, but just a really great opportunity where they laid out a lot of the information I'm showing you. This is the stuff that we're looking to buy. These are the areas of focus. This is how you work with us. So just really helpful information. And the good thing about where we're at now is this not something that you have to fly up to Washington, D.C. A lot of times they can do some of this like over Zoom, over webinars, things like that, or they can come down to, your particular area. So one of the things now that I've talked about this, you're like, I don't even know who's at these agencies. I don't know who I should be looking at. So let's do a deeper dive in terms of the particular agencies and who are the contacts that you can look at. So there's basically 4 procurement layers. One of the procurement layers is the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. It could be called that at the agency as the OSDBU. It could just be called the Small Business Office. Like I mentioned, the Navy has an Office of Small Business Programs. DoD has an Office of Small Business Programs under the Secretary. Different offices are called different things, but basically it's their Small Business Office or the OSDBU. So you can look for that. Contracting officers, COs, program managers, which is like what I was when I worked at the Department of Commerce. Those could be like end users, like I said. And then there's procurement center representatives, PCRs. So there's 4 different procurement layers. So first is the small business office or the OSDBU. Each federal agency kind of has like a small business office that is ensuring that the agency follows those contracting rules and regulations and goals. Don't walk in there thinking they're going to buy from you, but they are a good first stop at an agency. And like I said, it could be called different things. It could be the small business office, it could be the OSDBU. But when you go to a federal agency's website, pretty much it's going to be kind of like business opportunities or doing business with this agency. That's pretty much like the OSDBU website, where it'll list a lot of the regular stuff you would look for. When you do meet with an OSDBU, you want to do your research ahead of time, so you don't want to show up and be unprepared. You want to have researched their particular agency. If they have sources sought out there, have those in hand. You can be like, hey, you have these 3 sources sought. Here I am right here, and I can help you out. You want to have completed your SAM registration, and then you want to have like your financial plan, kind of like any action plans or anything you want to show them. You want to be ready to go. For the contracting officers, these are the folks that make the buying decision. So if you look up any of those particular contracts on any of these websites, they'll list the contracting officer. So they're like the point of contact. They're very, very important, but you need to recognize they have a huge workload. So it's not like they're just sitting around waiting for you to call them, or they're going to email you back. Like if you email them, they're going to email you like within 1 hour. They don't have a lot of time to spare because they're probably managing like multiple contracts and businesses that they're working with and things like that. They basically are established in the FAR, the Federal Acquisition Regulation. They live by it. So you need to research what type of contracting methods or vehicles that they're using. As I said, a lot of the things that they're doing related to when do they buy, how do they buy, what amounts do they buy, what type of certifications are they looking for. You want to have all that research done before you meet with them so you can kind of like really steer the conversation towards how you can work with them or if there's any opportunities coming up. One of the things you can do is you can ask the small business office or the OSTABU to make an email introduction or referral. That is a helpful way to get connected. You can also ask the contracting officer for a capability briefing. In that case, you would want to have your capability statement and some of those other materials ready. And then you could create like a spreadsheet where you're basically scheduling monthly marketing outreach to them. If there's any potential opportunities coming up, you just need to be aware that if they have like that cone of silence, so if they basically put out a contract, a solicitation out, you want to be aware that they will not be able to talk to you except for like if they have an information session or they have anything, or if there's like anything that you email to them, and then they would kind of post it for other businesses to see as well. So you need to be really mindful of when contract opportunities are opening and closing, because that might be a time that you can't contact that contracting officer regarding that particular one. And then I mentioned like I'm a recovering federal employee, congressional staffer. So I was a program manager. I was an end user. I basically have knowledge of how the agency works. I have an idea of what the problems are, what are potential solutions. So I can give you feedback on kind of like what's your product or service and how you might approach it. Like I said, their sources of information, their resources. They're not going to give you the contract, but they can be helpful. And a lot of times you'll connect with these at particular agency functions, at some of those maybe vendor outreach sessions, at national conferences. They do attend particular conferences, so you might bump into them there and be able to get some information where you can ask, like, hey, what CRM system do you use, or what do you do, or who runs your website, or what's the company that buys this or that. Those are information that you can get from them. But like I said, they're not a contracting officer. They could just give you information to help you better understand that agency. And then the last layer is the procurement center representative, the PCR. PCRs are an important part of the procurement process. They review acquisitions, they review bundling in cases and solicitations. They can recommend set-asides. They can help with market research. They can provide assistance and reviews. For Florida, we basically have one PCR that's located in Orlando, and then there's two that are outside of Florida, but they cover Florida installations and agencies as well. I think one of them is located in Alabama, and then one of them is located in Georgia. And this is publicly available information. If you search by PCR or Procurement Center Representative, this information is available on the SBA website. So you can see basically the Florida-based PCR is Jessica Gaskins. She's super nice. We've been in meetings with her before. She's very helpful because we've asked for particular information on who is the contracting officer for this installation or this agency. So we've been able to get really good information. They outline basically what activities or what agencies they cover, so you can know that you're talking to the right person. So, for example, if you're looking for here in Miami, if you're looking for like uh, Special Operations Command at Homestead Air Force Base, if you're looking for the Army Contracting Command here in Miami, looking for something in Pensacola, though you can basically look on there and find out who's the contact. And she can actually make additional give you information on local contacts at those agencies as well. So it's really helpful. And then we talked a little bit about the small business goals. This just gives you an idea of how each agency is goaled. It shows you basically their goals, and this was an older one as of like the end of 2022. I think that they've updated the website, but I did include the link up there as well. But it shows you just basically what's their goals related to subcontracts, related to primes, for veteran owned, things like that. So you can see like the different agencies. And then, like I said, they score each agency on how they're doing and meeting their goals. And I did see like recently, I think that they put out like the scorecard, where the SBA basically puts out the scorecard. So I do think there's an updated scorecard that must have came out in the last couple of days. So you can see like shout out to my former employer, the Department of Commerce. They got an A plus. Homeland Security got an A plus. I think the lowest I've seen was like maybe a C. I haven't seen any D's or F's for those, but the agencies work really hard to meet those goals. So you can see kind of which agencies are meeting their particular goals. You can look at the scorecards, you can break it down. I would mention for that particular website, they have stuff that's in kind of bar graphs, in other types of formats as well. So you can really break down the information and kind of look at it. So it is helpful. And then I want to give you a couple strategies. So in terms of strategies that you can look at, one of the strategies is just looking at current opportunities that are out on the street. The example I'm giving you is where you can search basically on sam.gov. So you go on there. This is a search where I just put in Coast Guard in Miami. You know, we're in South Florida, we're in Miami. There's a lot of Coast Guard opportunities. Actually, we're located in downtown at the FIU downtown campus. Actually, 2 blocks away, there is um, like a kind of administrative office or support for the Coast Guard. So we'll be walking around down here and we'll see a bunch of Coast Guard employees here. But obviously, you have a lot of Coast Guard installations over like down in I think Coconut Grove, they have one. Obviously over like near Key Biscayne, obviously in the Keys as well. So there are a number of installations. So I just searched like Coast Guard in Miami. When I did the search, you can basically see that there are a couple of them. Not all of them are based here in Miami. For example, there was something for landscaping services in St. Petersburg. There was one that was focused on for the Miami base here, like some fenders on the beach, probably where the boats are coming to like make sure that they don't hit like the wood or like any other types of frame. There was something related to doors and locks. And then there was like a window replacement that was up in Fort Pierce. But you see those other two, those might have been out of Miami, but one was in Isla Mirada and one was in Fort Pierce. So they do have a couple of different opportunities as well. And those are things that were posted, within the last like 2 months. Um, and so you can kind of research it by the location, by the opportunity. You can kind of look for what they're looking for. So that's just like a quick search. But I'd say for that one, that is basically available to everybody. So anybody can see it, anybody can already be working on it and submit it. Just showing you real quick, if you are interested in like the Coast Guard, this shows you their website. When you go to their website specific to Sector Miami, this shows you like the different cutters they have, the different locations they have, like in Fort Pierce and Fort Lauderdale. It does talk about where they have a couple of small boat stations in Miami Beach, in Fort Lauderdale, up in Fort Pierce too. So it gives you more details on like what they're looking for. If you click on some of the contracting and procurement stuff, they will direct you back to sam.gov to look for opportunities, but they do talk about, in terms of the Coast Guard Acquisition Directorate, they talk about some of the procurement centers they have focused on aviation, focused on operational logistics, shore infrastructure, those type of things. So they did have some information on there that you can search, just to give you more information. But that just shows you like their particular contracting website. The second strategy you can use is related to Homeland Security, like in terms of like looking at Homeland Security for like an advanced acquisition plan. You can either look up for like forecast is a term or advanced acquisition plan. If you search advanced acquisition plan under Homeland Security, this is what comes up. So you see where it says business opportunities, and then you can kind of look through it. And then they do have like advanced acquisition plan. When you search for that, it takes you to this website. And then you can see all the forecast records. You can sign up for email notifications. They do have a government login for that portal. They also list on there subcontracting opportunities. So they have a couple of things. When you click on some of the links, this is what they show you. So they show you these are things that are projected to be put out. You see where they have basically the place of performance. They have basically the performance state. I sorted it. So I sorted it by Florida just so we can kind of have stuff that's more actionable. You can search, they have a dollar range, so you know like if it might be a little bit too big for you, or if it's like just right, if it's something you're looking for and worth your time. They do have when the solicitation is anticipated to be released and when the forecast was published. So they do have those type of information. But it's really good because you're basically being proactive. You're looking for things ahead of time so that you can basically kind of start working on getting everything prepared and ready to go after that particular contracting opportunity. When you click on one of those, this is how it looks like, where it talks about the NACE code. So you see, like we talked about your industry code, talks about what's the vehicle. It's basically indefinite delivery contract. It's a recompete. Um, they're looking for a small business. They list the incumbent, so you can actually do research on that company. It looks at when they're anticipated to award it, kind of like additional descriptions and information. You'll see that the point of contact, the contracting officer listed there. They have an alternate as well. The performance would be in Doral, and then what's the range. So that's a lot of really good information for your business. That's something you can look up and kind of get ready. You can identify stuff that will be the best fit for your business. The other thing you can do is, like I said, it's advanced acquisition plan or agency forecast. So that just shows you, I just went on Google, I just did federal agency contract forecast. And one of the first ones that comes up is the General Services Administration, GSA. GSA is kind of like the landlord for the federal government, where they manage a lot of the buildings and kind of like infrastructure. They also do some services as well. But the GSA is like a large federal purchaser. When you click on the GSA website, they do have this little tool that's pretty helpful. They also have like a video to kind of explain the tool to you so you can see the background. But like I said, this is information that can kind of walk you through using it. It's not something you need to pay somebody to help you with that. It's something you can learn on your own. When you get into the forecast, I was just searching by Florida, and I did see like they had one that was available in Key Largo for landscaping. So basically, they did talk about it's under Key Largo. It's the Department of the Interior, National Park Service. Basically, was estimated in 2024. The contract value was below $150,000 and has additional information. So you can kind of be prepared on that type of stuff. A second look at an agency forecast is under the Millennium Challenge Corporation. If you're familiar with the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, Millennium Challenge Corporation is similar to USAID, where they kind of work in developing countries or countries overseas and help them in terms of like economic development, things like that. Um, Millennium Challenge Corporation, not very well known. I actually found out about this because we had a business that was located in our home state and wanted to get connected to Millennium Challenge Corporation. So I was like, I don't know that agency, but I'll set up the meeting and was able to go with them and meet the agency staff and also learn more about them and what they do. They do have obviously projects overseas, but they do have staff here in the United States as well. So there's actually like US opportunities in terms of contracts. So when you go to the Millennium Challenge Corporation website, you basically look on there. You can see upcoming opportunities with Millennium Challenge Corporation. Like they said, they basically have operations in Washington. They have other projects overseas too. So you can see basically what this is. Front and center on their website is the business forecast. So when you click on the business forecast, basically this is what comes up, and see it's the same information. So it lists like the agency, the department, it basically lists like the type of contract it is, like what's the value, where's it going to be located, who's the contracting officer, like those type of things. So basically has like a good actionable information for you, has the industry code. So there's a lot of good stuff up there for you that you can kind of get prepared. So I've given you kind of a couple different strategies. So let's talk about, before we wrap up, about business development. So one of the most important things when you're going for government contracts, whether it's local, state, or federal, is that you need to be prepared. I'm not going to say prepare like 5 times, but you just need to be prepared. You really want to put your best foot forward. Is networking, outreach, making connections. You need to basically like hustle and get in touch with the right people. Time is money. One of the things you want to be doing is look for previously awarded contracts that are similar in scope to what you can provide. One of the things you can do is take proposal and cost estimating classes, or you can use a software program. That is one of the problems that a lot of businesses have, especially when you're getting into federal contracts or government contracts, is you underestimate, you don't kind of estimate properly for the proposal. It can end up costing you money. There are webinars on that. There are classes on that. There also are consultants under Apex, under SBDC, under other programs as well that can kind of give you some tips on it. But it would be something where you want to learn it on your own so that you can kind of like build up that expertise in your business. You definitely want to like create a matrix on contracts or requests for proposals so that you can track and forecast those that are similar to what you're looking for. Once you get the format plugged in, you can basically like add those type of things. I think there probably are like a lot of really readily available matrices like that, that if you just did a search for it, you could probably get those for no cost. And you can actually like plug it in and start using it. And then one of the things you want to do when you're working on business development is also understand what the scoring criteria is. Those are going to be located in the different solicitations you're looking at, because you want to make sure when you're working on a proposal that you're meeting all those different criteria, like kind of rounding up the score in the highest areas. If there's areas that are scored lesser, still want to do good in those areas, but you probably want to spend your time and focus on the areas that have the highest scores. So that way you're going to score the best when the committee's reviewing it. There are 3 things that you should have ready when you attend like a vendor outreach event, an RFP workshop, or if you meet with like an OSDBU or a procurement official, is you want to have your capability statement, your CAP statement. You want to have your elevator pitch, and you want to have your business cards. One of the things a lot of these folks do is they're like, tell me about your business. And you freeze up because you never had to like say like a 20-second, 30-second pitch on your business. So you do want to practice that at home in a mirror with no stress, no consequences, and really have it like down so that when somebody asks you, like literally like it's in an elevator or at an event, you can really come with that. And I've actually seen that when we've been out of workshops and or meeting business in the community, where I'm like, tell me about your business. Somebody has like a really great business, but they can't tell you in 20 or 30 seconds, like what is their business, what is their why, what do they do, and sum it up. That's really something you want to have, because you really don't know when you can miss out on an opportunity for business development if you don't have that. So you want to have business cards, an elevator pitch, and a capability statement. And then one of the kind of like follow-up tips is just remember that old adage, like you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So you want to really lead with your best, be professional, use the email address affiliated with your website. Don't use Google, Yahoo, Gmail accounts. If you're gonna have getting into federal contracting, you want to have, an actual website that the agency contracting officer can look up. You want to have your email address associated with that website. Double check typos. Look for anything on your emails and your website. If you're not paying attention to typos, especially now that you have AI and spell checking programs and things like that, that could, your attention to detail for that could relate into the contract that you get. So you want to basically pay attention to those type of things, because little things like that make a difference. Like I said, you want to know what's your sweet spot. Don't try to be a jack of all trades, because these contracting officers meet with hundreds of businesses a year. They will seize on that. They will sense that. They will know that you're trying to oversell, and it might turn them off in terms of trying to work with you. always want to lead with you and your company's expertise and your experience. And you want to be able to mitigate risk, overcome obstacles. You want to show that you can really deliver and get additional contracts. And then I would just include some resources up here for you. If you want to basically go, you can go to the Florida Apex Accelerator website. The Florida PTAC previously, that's now Florida Apex, they had a great overview of contracting with the federal government webinar. The Northern California Apex Accelerator also has a really great webinar on these federal spending sprees, because a lot of you guys know Congress has been having difficulties funding the agencies on a regular schedule. So these agencies are getting funding later and later in the year. So actually, some of the agencies are just getting their funding, last month or this month. And for a lot of them, the fiscal year ends in September. So they have to spend a year's worth of money in a couple of months. So those federal spending sprees are something you can really take advantage of for your business if you've done a lot of the work with SAM registrations, with certifications, having everything in place. Also did include the Georgia PTAC, now the Georgia Apex Accelerator. They have a lot of really great information as well. And like I said, we will send you a copy of this presentation as a PDF. And Jesus will also send you the link to our YouTube page as well. And with that, I'm going to basically look at some of the questions you guys have. Okay, so Jesus, you want to read some of the questions off?
Yes, Brian. Is there like any advice in funding options for financing contracts for new businesses?
There are particular loan programs that are available. Oh, I saw some of those just popped off, so maybe Lewis was answering some of those. But there are particular financing that you can get from banks. There are some banks that specialize in government contracts. There also are particular lines of credit and things like that you can get. Really, what you do want is you want that type of line of credit that you can rely on, where you can kind of use it when you're waiting for the agency to pay you, and then you can pay it off once the agency you receive payment. So those are type of things. But like I said, there are organizations like SBDC, like Apex, that are in the community that can help you if you're looking for financing, or really to set up your business for those particular contracts. On the sam.gov website, I see Adriana's question regarding registrations. You should basically register on sam.gov. Actually, once you're on sam.gov registering, you can also start researching particular opportunities. And we did kind of go through step by step on some of the things that you should do.